and welcome. It is Monday Night Football Lagu Soweto TV Kamalamu Kamzambata as we now reflect on what's been almost a week of cup action in the Nedbank Cup. Some big results at the weekend, of course, with the big one seeing Kaizer Chiefs going down to Richards Bay FC. We saw Orlando Pirates just get past UTHONGATHI, and of course Mamelodi Sundowns have secured progression through to the next round. So before we look into those in full depth, let's have a look at the results from the weekend. Those will set us up nicely for the rest of the show, and after which I'll introduce you to my panel. Polokwane City winning 2-0 against Stellenbosch, as we see there. Sundowns in extra time beating Stellenbosch by 3-2. And then of course the games would carry on coming thick and fast, with Thursday seeing Cape Town All-Stars in action against Bizana Pondo Chiefs. They got a win on the road. Chakuma at home beat Super Sports United, who we've kind of seen as cup specialists. Their cup run will end. Pretoria Callies will represent Tshwane with a 1-0 victory against Royal AM in this round. Maritzburg United winning 2-1 against Sekhukhune. As we see Saturday, so many games. JDR Stars getting a win. So did Orlando Pirates. The two TS sides playing out to a 0-0 draw, but Sporting winning on penalties. The case for Amazulu in that derby against Golden Arrows, also winning on penalties, and Cape Town City thumping Bloem Celtic 4-0. Let's move on to Sunday, where we'd see more results, and probably the most surprising of them all. That saw the Amakosi going 2-1 down to Richards Bay FC in the last throes of that game. Chippa United winning on penalties against Free State Stars. Swallows beating Cape United, and Black Leopards on the roads beating Jomo Cosmos. So there you have it. As far as the results are concerned, I think that was a good place to start. Let me introduce you to my panel now for the evening. I've got Mr. Shabalala joining me. I've got Mr. Atafia. And for the first time on the show on Monday Night Football, Mr. Batabayira. Thank you so much for joining us, Tim, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Let's look at those results. We'll start with you. Kaizer Chiefs, another stream for silverware, closed off, early days, and there it is. It's done and dusted. Richards Bay FC are the ones who are going to progress to the next round.
Look, being Kaizer Chiefs, you can feel an element of embarrassment given this result. It's very important and disappointing that Kaizer Chiefs did lose this game. You would think that they would use this game as a building block to get back and prepare and try to rescue their season. And given the fact that they are going to play on Saturday, the CAF Champions League, you lose to Richards Bay United. There's not much I can say, but you look at the players on the field of play, the application of the tactics. You are conceding a last-minute goal in the 90th minute where you could close shop and maybe attempt to go into extra time and try to rescue yourself, but wouldn't be. And it's very disappointing. I can try to imagine what is going through Gavin Hunt's mind.
Well, we kind of got a sense of what's going through his mind after the game, Greg, saying that, listen, sometimes I'm criticized for not playing certain players. Yeah. I gave players an opportunity today. They didn't deliver. Is that fair? One game to go in and make an impact and show that you're worthy for being involved, or is that too much expectation for a player who's been sitting outside to come in and have that kind of impact?
No, for me, I think it's too much expectation. Player haven't played for a very long time, and you put in, just 45 minutes and you expect him to perform miracle. It's not him alone. The whole team is just under construction, in terms of trying to get their rhythm. And, playing against smaller team, I just feel like Kaizer Chiefs always have that backing with their supporters. I think the real miss is their supporters, If playing against Richards Bay, when the support is there and the atmosphere is, those teams, they intend to crack down. But at the end of the day, we said it last week. Is it last week or last 2 weeks? We said that, with no fans now, it gives a common ground to every team to play. It was a good, Nedbank, you expect a lot of good results, We were just so happy we saw a lot of goals, 36 to 38 goals, and eight teams kept clean sheet, this from Wednesday to Sunday. So, it's a good atmosphere. But Kaizer Chiefs, for them now, I just think they need to regroup. But I think they're going to play more in Champions League.
Coach Timbani came out after the game and said, listen, we had a plan, we stuck to a plan. Here you have a, first division coach outwitting and outsmarting and literally getting to the crux of what makes Chiefs tick as a team. He figured it out and was able to disassemble them. What does that say for the quality of coaching?
I think they took a lot of studying into this Kaizer Chiefs team they saw how it played. And at the back of my mind, I was saying they would have done the same if it was Pirates, if it was Sundowns or SuperSport, because they've got the manual on how to treat a team as an individual. Right. Whereas if you can reverse the psychology, Chiefs did not do what these Richards Bay boys, including the coach, have done against them. They've taken their time. They know player strength by strength, weaknesses by weaknesses. Even the whole defense, they could turn the Chiefs defense at will. 9 out of 10 times. I mean, if you can look at the goal chances that they had, they were turning the Chiefs defense and make them run towards their post. Even the goal that they scored in the dying minutes. But then again, look at these boys. In fact, the whole tournament, the critical phases, most goals come from that. I don't know whether the teams are thinking about the next stage, but yeah, it's been tough.
Okay.
But one thing, the other advantage, you know, the NFD, most of the NFD teams have, because their games are not live, so the PSA teams, the games always live, so they have that opportunity to watch them, to read them. But, you know, the disadvantage for me personally in terms of this Nedbank, the downside is some of the teams that already qualified before this round reschedule, you know, they're out now. You know, the teams like Royal AM, you know, Steenbeek, they qualify for normal, apart from when they say there's no amateur football. Sure. You know, some teams already qualified. Now the teams that are qualified now, most of them are out now. So you can look at it two ways, you know, it's not really fair for me.
Okay, Timothy, I feel like you want to interject with a different school of thought.
You know, it's very interesting because now COVID-19 is showing that there are some players who can play when they are fans and those who cannot play with fans. So we are beginning to ask ourselves, do Kaizer Chiefs players only perform when they are fans or not?
Sure.
We shall be able to find the answers to that when, you know, all these restrictions are lifted. But going forward, I think the Nedbank Cup has always been an exciting tournament. You know, when we won it in 2010, it was very exciting. It was Amazon versus Bidvest. No expected big teams to go into that. If you look at the players of Richards Bay, you know, they were playing against their own idols, Kaizer Chiefs players. Yeah. So you can imagine on the field of play, that excites them. And they are playing also to be spotted. Sure. Maybe by the time they open up the transfer window, they'll be looking at Richards Bay United.
Oh, that's a bit of a stretch because let's be honest, I think as far as reinforcing that team is concerned, Greg, now I'm Timbani, like, they have to break the bank, surely, Kaizer Chiefs. You've kind of stayed away from one transfer market. You're steadying the ship somewhat. I mean, you know, they're not going to get any trophies, but youngsters are getting a run. Gavin is able to see who's going to stay, who's going to go. Surely the next transfer window for Kaizer Chiefs is a critical one, and they can't really start doing these deals where you're going to go look for a cheap player here and someone here and a bargain here. You have to go buy quality because you're literally 2 windows behind your opponents.
Yeah, definitely. With Kaizer Chiefs, the situation they are now, they can't just wait, you know, for the next transfer window to open, you know. And I feel like, you know, with Gavin, if, you know, it's opportune to still remain in the team, I think he's a lot of changes. You know, with him, I know he like to play with wide players. You know, he like to play with midfielders that, you know, they Boku, they just go, you know, no skillful midfielder, the one that can send the type, but, you know, the other version in terms of the age, you know. So I just feel like, you know, there's a lot of good things Kaizer Chiefs we take out of this band of the transfer. Going to their next transfer, they need to buy wisely. They don't need to say that I want a free transfer player. They need to go and buy. They need to go and buy because it's a big team.
But when last did they buy? we know. I mean, when last did they buy? I mean, you can go back to as far back as 5-10 years ago, you know. They don't buy. They've got a good policy that saves them money, but do they get value for that in return?
I mean, that good policy is being shown up now, surely. Because now you have to spend because your opponents aren't going to get...
But big teams spend money on players.
The question is the market having the players they need?
Yeah, I think
there's a lot of quality.
Yeah, a lot of quality. If you go to Cape Town City, you're going to get a lot of quality there. Yep. You know, you go to SuperSport, you know, you go to Baroka. It's just what you need because, as I said, you know, Kaizer Chiefs, they have personality players they need in their team. But Gavin particularly, he has his own style of play, you know. And when the vet was sold, if not Kaizer Chiefs were banned in terms of the transfer market, there's a lot of players will go with him to Kaizer Chiefs, you know, and Some, they will make a reverse clearance, the ones that are signed in Swallows and in Stellenbosch. I'm talking about Atlantic. There's a reverse clearance that he might go back, when the transfer window is open. So there's a lot of opportunity. You know, that is kind of players. He need width, he need the crosses, he need a big man in the box. That's how he plays. You cannot get it from one player, week in, week out. That's why, a coach like him, he like to rotate the team always. But the good thing about him, the youngsters coming from the development, the MDC players, I think most of them, they have raised their hand up.
Okay, well, he is going to have to swap players around. The likes of Njanga, he was getting runs out in the CAF competitions. There might be another opportunity with Wydad away. But looking at that schedule, Amazulu, Supersport, TTM, then Horoya at home.
Doesn't get easy.
I mean, if they wanted to win a match, it should have been yesterday's one. That run-in, what is it going to show us about this Chiefs team?
I think it's a true test of character, individually and collectively as a team. Because here there's no time to train and have tactics. It's one match after the other. So meaning, while you're playing this game already, as soon as the final whistle goes off, you're thinking about, are we getting into a plane? Are we getting into a bus or going to the next match? So there's no time for the coaches. So it's everything that comes in so quick. Even, I think he just has to have a file and say, this is what happened on that game, on that game, on that game. Then he has to build up on as the matches come thick and fast. Look at Pito, how he used to do it. I mean, Pito, no rest in 5 consecutive seasons with Sundowns. But it paid him off. What he did, he found a way of actually dealing with all those challenges. And even players enjoyed it. I mean, they even celebrated birthdays, Christmas Day, away from home. So as Gavin, you came in knowing that whether you've got players or not, pressure, pressure, pressure.
Tim, in terms of the season, though, for Kaizer Chiefs, what do they do as far as the energy they apply to the CAF competition, considering the situation they're in back home? Should they just focus on the league, or is it still an opportunity for other players, especially squad harmony being very important, to get a run and an opportunity to play in CAF competition?
I think at this moment in time, Kaizer Chiefs need to take game by game. They can't choose which tournament to participate in because already they've lost the Nedbank Cup. So if they take game by game, then they'll be able to build the squad and identify those players that they will be able to perform and then bring everybody on board. Then later on they can consolidate whether to, in the last bit of the season to see if they can reclaim the season. Okay,
so strongest team in CAF?
No, very, very well, because, there you have opportunity because, the style of play of Kaizer Chiefs with Gavin, I think is that route one. You play from the second ball. I think he's going to suit him in CAF. You go there, you get a draw or you score a goal, you come home. But now in that group stage, you need to go to the semi-finals, which is very important. But at the same time, they can save their season in terms of finishing in top 8. It's possible. They're not far. They're not far from 8 to 4, so they can still save the season in finishing top 8 and do well in the Champions League.
Timane, do you think that's a sentiment that most Kosi fans would want? Is let's give it a go in CAF, or do you think everyone would, think let's hold and push for a top 8 finish, maybe top 4?
Right now, I must be honest. Word in the street is that the fans are now saying, any good result is welcome. Remember that the morale is down, the players' heads are down, and everything else that Chiefs is touching goes haywire. So it's not happening for them now. But the only saving grace is that they've been doing well in the CAF Champions League. They've created a little bit of a leeway that says to them, at least we've got something to hold on to. Qualifying for the group stages is their first. They're looking at them recently. It's good news for them. And from my side, I think if they can focus on that, who knows, they can actually surprise a whole lot of people because they've got the notebook that tells them how to do it there in the CAF Champions League. But if you can look at the local DSTV Premiership, it's going to be tough. The only thing that they can pray for is that they stick to the top 8 bracket and make sure that they get a good start next season with a quick tournament. You've seen how Pirates did it. And now the biggest pressure comes up. It's not about Chiefs not winning. It's what Sundowns, it's what Pirates especially is doing. Pirates has progressed in the Nedbank Cup, Chiefs did not.
Yeah.
Pirates have won the MTN 8, Chiefs did not. You know, all of those things. So the fans, it goes really, really, really deep into their hearts.
Well, let's see. Maybe the coach can rescue the season somewhat, looking at what is still on offer with a place in the top 8, maybe top 4 to be able to be in continental competition yet again. And of course, with that Champions League push, let's see how far they can get with Wydad at the weekend, a game to look forward to. We take a short little break, after which Monday Night Football continues with more roundup of the Nedbank Cup. Welcome back. It is Monday Night Football as we now look on the big derby that happened at Tegwini between Golden Arrows and AmaZulu. In the end, it was settled by penalties, with AmaZulu moving on to the next round of the cup competition. And so I guess for the new owners, they'll be looking at that as part of this, project, still maintaining momentum. Their coach still has an opportunity to win some silverware this season, Tim.
Yeah, Usengwa Oti's project 2032, yeah. They've got a broader vision.
Okay.
It's not just 1, 2, 3, 4. No, the counting is endless, but they know where they are going.
Right.
Yes, right now they're looking for the top 4 spot in the DStv Premiership, which I still think it's possible, looking at how they play. But what are they doing right? They've got the Benny DNA, that never say die spirit. You've seen it even when Arrows scored their first goal, giving them the lead. They waited until the final whistle to say, we're going to challenge you. I mean, they've got experience. You cannot take it away. The other week we spoke about experience, Gamza. Look at Majoro coming in and saying, I'm going to come and dust my shoulder here because these boys don't know how it's done. I'm going to show them. One of the senior citizens within the team, he's there. He's got the know-how. He comes in whenever is required to. He comes in and delivers the good. They've got Nduli who can bulldoze everyone and get that crucial goal. So AmaZulu is actually one of the most balanced team right now, if I can say. And in the Nedbank, I see them going, causing really a big upset somewhere if they come across one of those teams that, think they've got it all going their way.
That's true, Greg. They could be a potential banana peel, but, the same could have been said about Arrows coming into this one. They've been in such good form, they're such a good side, and, the lottery of penalties in the end will decided this one.
Yeah, if you see Arrows, the game they play against Pirates, the way they did, and they did very well to win that game. Coming to this cup game, it was a different ball game. A derby game, there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of, I want to be the one that, take the derby. And I just feel like, Arrows team is a very good team, for the fact that the young players, a lot of unknown players, if I can put it that way, a lot of young from the youth rank, you have a AmaZulu side that's a lot of experience, you have the 3 strikers there, Shaka Zulu, and Tuli and Mojuro, any one of them can score, it just depends on the day who plays, and the good thing about that game, when AmaZulu were losing, they went back to 3-4-3, which was a fantastic, formation, for them to put pressure on Golden Arrows, and they did get their goal, and penalty, as you say, anything can happen there. You cannot really judge, form there. It's just down to who is taking the penalty and the goalkeeper on the day. So I just feel AmaZulu, there's a lot of, a good atmosphere in the camp. You can see the technical team to the management, and they're united. And it's a good thing. When the team is united like that, from the technical team to the management, you can go places.
And Tim, I guess the bigger picture is also looking at, the KZN province now providing even more, I guess, a good headache for the national team coach as far as players are concerned, because on the form that we're seeing from the likes of Golden Arrows, AmaZulu players, some of them have already been called up in the past, but we're getting more options here for Molefi Ntseki.
Look, the options will always be there, but we shall always look at the mental capability of the players. Playing for a club is different from playing for the national team. That has been proved over time. So it needs, yes, they are having that good run because they're playing for the likes of Golden Arrows, AmaZulu, but when it comes to the national team, that's a bigger stage. Will they be able to cope? But looking at the team of AmaZulu, you're looking at the winning mentality of Benny. You're looking at Numvete as the technical assistant to Benny. So they have got what they want into the squad. They have got these players who have seen Benny and Numvete scoring all these goals. They have got that attitude where they are going to fight for the interests of the players before the management.
Right.
So there's nothing that the players need to go and approach the management. The technical team is doing that on their behalf, and for them, they're just going to deliver. It's a team to watch.
Okay, that's an interesting outlook on that one. Timani, here's a controversial one, and I speak to you as a journalist because a lot of journalists have been affected by the fact that they're not allowed to be at the stadiums. But what you see sometimes, a lot of the time after these games, especially in this one, for instance, yes, it was a joyous occasion. You've secured progression to the next round, but the celebrations of family and friends in these COVID times, when you can't go to the stadium and interview a coach for your job.
Mixed feelings. Not taking anything away from Amazulu and their win, victory and everything.
Yeah.
Actually, I've seen quite a few teams doing that after the taking pictures and all of that after their victory. I would say it's bad. It's bad. There are some people within our craft who can actually not go to work now because of the ban. But you see some of the club officials taking their families, their children to the game to go there and sit and you know, be the mascots probably of the game. After the game, they take pictures, they pose and all of that. There's nothing wrong about taking pictures, but the very same team that could not even bump fist with the opponent at the tunnel, you know, going in, they go one after the other, and now after the game, everybody is taking pictures. They are rolling on the grass and all of that. It just then it takes away.
You don't want to go and roll on the grass.
No,
you just want to go there and ask some questions. Uthole soundbite yakho. Sure.
Nkulume no Krekitafia, you know, nkulume no team, and find out how the game was. Crush the coach if I have to, you know, get into the depth of it.
It's fine.
Because right now we are being fed what the teams want us to hear.
For sure.
I mean, Kamza, you're a coach, I work with you in the same team, I'm the media administrator. I'm not going to grill you even if you made a mistake there.
Of course not.
Because we pre-rehearse these things.
We're making we work together.
Yes, I cannot crush you, you're my coach. Whereas if I am the neutral here, I'm going to say, Penny, why are you not playing so and so? Why are you not doing this and that? Why how did this happen? You know, I'm just putting that across there to say it limits us, even the writing. It's only the seniors who've got the access to those coaches in their individual space that can still give them a call. But what about that boy who comes in, who is an intern, who is just learning the craft, that girl who says, I'm a producer, but I don't have content in front of me. We are so limited, and it hits the pockets, most of them, even the photographers. If you can look at our colleagues in the media, they cannot even go there. If somebody gives you a picture, that picture is already branded with his company. You know, they've got the right to that. It's quite disturbing, but hopefully we've got representatives just to take it a bit, you know, a notch there. The SAFJA, we've been, you know, the South African Football Journalists Association, under the leadership of Velile, we've got that, and then the guys have been talking to the PSL, you know, but now it confuses us so much because the very same teams, when it is KERR games, they invite us to come to the games. But if it's the PSL, you cannot go there. I mean, look at it. Look at a 90,000 stadium. If they can say you
guys just sit in that corner there.
Yes.
Social distance.
Even if they can say, Greg, you see that at line number 90 there at the top. Temba, you see that line number 70.
For sure.
Velile, you see that
and
line
then we'll
number
just run around with a roving mic.
Exactly.
And then you can ask the coach.
How are we that dangerous to this game that gives us food?
For sure. No, that's a good question. Those are important questions that need some answers. So there you have it, food for thought. Journalists can't go to games at the moment. They can't speak to coaches. They can't, you know, literally earn their keep in some instances. A lot of journalists were in satellite places of the country where they'd speak to coaches in places that other teams or journalists couldn't get to, and they can't do that anymore. So it's those kinds of things that need to be considered. Let's talk quickly then about the other game that saw Bloem Celtic and Cape Town City in action. Cape Town City, in the end, obliterating Bloem Celtic. A strange one because you wouldn't expect, Greg, Bloem Celtic to lie down like this. But sometimes when a team is too good, they're too good.
On that day, I just think Cape Town City were just too much, you know, and most especially Tashib Morris, you know, I mean, his first hat-trick for a very long time, you know, and it was an exciting game to watch, you know, because the way Cape Town City have been playing, you always see them as a team that scores goals. But the good thing that happened in this game, they never conceded. You know, which I mean, for a very long time, it's like, you know, something good to them. You know, it was a good save, and what the keeper did before they scored the third goal. And Cape Town City, the brand of football they're playing, I think the team to watch in this tournament, because they're playing very well. Depends on the draw, how the draw favor you. But I think if they get teams that, you know, they can compete pound to pound to, I think they can go far, you know.
Okay. What do you make of it? Your former team, you know, just not being at the races on the day, but, you know, at the end of the day, when a player scores a career hat trick, when you have so many players in form, sometimes you must be able to take your hat off and say, okay, the better team won.
It's one of the best teams playing wonderful football.
Right.
Yes, they have been conceding, but you can see the footprint of the coach, what he wants them to play. He's encouraging that. And on
How would you describe their style, Tim?
Really, it is a mixture of European and a local flair. You know, he's not taking away the natural talent of the players, but encouraging them to use that skill, that talent in the right areas. And when it clicked, just like against Celtic, Bloemfontein Celtic, my captain John Maduka, I really feel for him. It's becoming so tough on that side.
Right.
But then again, Kaizer, you can ask, has Celtic recovered from losing 2 finals in a row?
There's another thing that
I think it's more mental, because they took all their eggs and put them in one basket, especially for the MTN 8. Remember, even in the continent, they were sending a B team with assistant coaches. And not having won that, they've missed out on the Nedbank against Sundowns, and then they came into Pirates. They lost that match again. And that should tell you it's more mental than anything. Looking at their financial battles and struggles, I mean, it definitely is going to take its toll on the players.
That's an interesting way to look at it. Do you agree with that? That players look at it and say, those bonuses and it's opportunity missed, or they're making calculations in their head, or it's just a bad day at the office?
Look, being a player and a competitive player, that, you know, once you lose the game, you're already focusing on the next game. You're not a fan to start celebrating what would have been, what should not be.
Right.
You have got the next game. The preparation should be to win the next game. Yes, they worked so hard. Mind you, no one expected them to be in the finals. And yet they went there. So it's a matter of doing the right things continuously to make sure that when they get into the finals, then they can win the cup. This was another opportunity for them to raise their hand to continue that rebuilding block. So I think they played poor. It was poor preparation. It doesn't matter. They need to just regroup.
Okay, well, they'll focus in on the next game. And of course, this is also on the back of the news that Thabo Notata has extended his contract with Cape Town City for a few more years. So depending on where you sit, it's either because someone's going to buy him or he believes in the project. You'll tell us which on our hashtag of MNF on Soweto TV. We'll be back after this. Welcome back. It is Monday Night Football. Before we go any further, we're going to catch up with one of our correspondents in Polokwane in Letabo just to get a bit of background on the latest going-ons at TTM.
Thank you, Gamza. So basically, Joel Masutha's fate was sealed the morning after TTM defeated SuperSport United. Management does not believe that he is the right person to take the team out of the relegation zone, despite the fact that he was one of the people that was convincing players to stay on at the club when they were not being paid. What we're hearing is that the chairman held a meeting with Dylan KERR and Mpomaleka, who is going to be the assistant coach at the club. Also, Joel's departure was followed by that of Chief Executive Officer Tenda Masikwa, who was in the position for less than a month, and that of Team Physio Wisani Nemoremelani as well. There's also a lot of changes that are expected in the coming weeks. Back to you, studio.
Okay, well, there you have it, a breakdown. It sounds so cruel. She made it sound so good, but it was incredibly cruel. The guy wins you a game to progress against a very well-oiled SuperSport side, Timbani. TTM pick up on that result, and Joel's gone. Not even, let's see if we can see it through. They were like, thank you very much for your services. Dylan's coming.
And they were sitting on the stands watching it, the new owners. And I think, let's be honest, where they are right now and looking at the investment that has just been made, you cannot juggle the two and get them on the same level. Because now the the most important thing is to save the status of the team.
Sure.
So that you can compete in the tournament even next year.
For sure.
So the ABSA Premiership, so the DSTV Premiership is actually the bread and butter of all the teams. Point number one, save the status. The rest are luxuries. If you get to win a cup or two, then you are sorted.
Sure.
But for him, Joel, I think he's had so much to deal with on and off the field. You know, with all the things that were happening in the background.
Yeah.
There's shortage of this. He's got this. That one goes away. He's talking to this player. The player is signed by another team after one session of training. So he has had a lot to deal with. But unfortunately, he didn't get to see the promised land.
I saw that picture there. I wonder if that was when he got the notification of having to have a chat with the chairman. I mustn't make light of it because people are out of jobs. But to put things into perspective, big money's been invested. You want almost some sort of certainty. There's no therefore in football, right? So Dylan KERR, what does he offer you in terms of certainty? Is he getting another tattoo at the end of the season of TTM?
I think it's one of them. You know, normally every club he goes to, he normally get tattoo. But
If he saves them.
If he saves them, you know. Now, with Dylan KERR, you know, you have him in Kenya, he won the league twice, you know. He has been a proven coach, you know, but most of the teams he coached in South Africa, I think, you know, okay, you can just say they're not competing in the league because if you see where he's coming from and where he's coaching, the Barokas, the Lopad, I mean, they always struggle. No matter the coach you bring, sometimes it boils down to the management. You know, you can put it there to the management. With Black Leopard, there's a lot of interference in terms of what's happening there. But for me, for him going to TTM, I think he's used to in that environment. That's, you know, Limpopo side. They know him very well, you know. He's going to do well for them. He's a smart coach. His playing style is very good. You see what he did with Baroka. You know, he actually basically stopped Pirates, you remember, when they played the finals there, you know, and he has done well. He has done well for himself. I just see this project, they must give him support. Sometimes you need support. It doesn't matter the coach you bring, get support from the management. But support from the management must come with a result. If you don't get a result in this business, you're gone.
Tim, I mean, you know, there's so much disharmony that if this new management comes in and sorts it out at TTM, you almost feel there's players that could be, or could feel like new signings there. You know, if the rands and cents get sorted out, people get brought in from the cold. With the new management, new team, new coach, could you maybe get, you know, a different vibe going for the second half of the campaign? And is that what they're counting on? Saying that, listen, Joel kind of represents what was wrong about this club. He's part of that old regime. We thank him, but we need a new broom.
It's kind of loyalty doesn't pay, you know. So you're looking at TTM, you know, being sold to a new owner, Dr. Abraham, and you're looking at players who now believe they can get paid.
Yes.
They can pay their bills. If that is sorted out by the management, with a new coach in KERR, he has got the ability to motivate the players. He has saved teams from relegation. He has been there. So it means that he is able to motivate these players to try and save this franchise. And that can be done. What is key at this moment in time, you have got the new owners who seem not to know much about football. And they're going for a coach they believe has got a mentality that is mixed. He can understand the local game and the international part of the game. And so he can bring, you know, that mix together. I think you're on the right track. There's nothing much to say. Yes, Joe has done everything he could to try and maintain the team, but there were no results to show for it. So in a way, it shows that he was not doing good enough to try and get this team moving.
He won the Nedbank. He won 1 year the Nedbank Cup, and which is a very important tournament.
Yeah, you know, when you hear that we are firing the coach, we are getting new owners, you can think that's the motivation for the players.
Yeah.
And the players now came in all those years, and those are the results. You are getting 1 year, but they were not good enough to save his job. So that's what happens in football. Unfortunately, it's gone.
Right. Okay, let's very quickly touch on SuperSport United, who, you know, I guess coming into this one would have thought we've had the beating of this team twice already. You know, they're in disarray. We're in fine form. Our strikers are scoring goals for fun. And then, bloop, this is what happens.
When last did TTM keep a clean sheet? I can't remember, you know. But I guess SuperSport, they did that. I mean, this is a king specialist, SuperSport. When you talk about the Nedbank, you talk about NTN8, you talk about a lot of tournaments, you know, the quick tournament in the league. They are the one they can do that. But I just think they went to this game with a little bit of, too much cocky that, okay, we can beat them, they have a lot of trouble in the camp. If you don't, after 90 minutes, you need to get the result. And, basically the former player.
The former player coming to haunt them.
Kaizer, if they can show back just when the teams were walking in the tunnel, getting on the pitch, you'll pick it up from the body, reaction of the players of SuperSport that they have won this game before it's played. And that played a key part in that. Watching that, just entrance to the stadium, you'll have that feeling that they have won this game before it's played.
Right.
But I'm happy for Thabo Mnyamane though.
Yes.
He's one of the players that is underrated, but he can be deadly. Even if you can look on the physical, pitch situation, the way he took that goal, it's not an easy chance. The technique that he used there, it's not just a technique where you can wake up and do it. It takes a lot of practice. But hey, well done to TTM. At least there's a little light,
There's something.
And a clean sheet.
The goalkeepers and clean
And a
sheets.
clean sheet.
A clean sheet. There we go. Let's focus on that one. And of course, there'll be another clean sheet for Umponjane, who was in the goal of Orlando Pirates, and he was able to help them to a 1-0 victory over UTHONGATHI. I guess at this point, Greg, it doesn't really matter how you get through to the next round. At the end of the day, a win is a win. It's not the biggest win. It's not the. I'm sure as fans of Orlando Pirates, they wanted to see more goals to say, let's get this one to assert ourselves and get back our season on track. But it's back on track with just a slim victory.
Yeah, I mean, a win is a win. You just, for your own, you just need to go to the next round. You want to be in that quarterfinal table there, to get draw to other team, because in Tongati, they came with a little bit of motivation in this game. They played, because in NFD, they played the second ball. They were just playing the long ball and playing in the final third of the defensive third of Orlando Pirates. But what Pirates did, with the experience they have, Jelly and Kashawayu, the captain there, they just make sure they master the back line. The Pirates always have chance to score. And what they did well, with Mango here, with him, you can give him 2 chances in a very one, and which he did here, But it's a good assist, you can see the assist there, very good one. I think he has been looking for this goal for a very long time. You see the way he celebrates.
Let's talk about his body language, because I don't know, he doesn't strike me as someone who's happy. I mean, he scores here, but it just feels to me that he's, either feeling that he's not getting enough opportunities, or he doesn't get to be in these opportunities as often as he'd like, Timothy. Looking at his body language, what can you read from it?
If I'm a coach, that's the player I need, because he's angry that he's not playing. He knows he's good enough. He wants to score the goals. If I'm a coach of such a kind of player, that's the kind of mentality I need on my team.
Is he fully fit? Does he look fully fit?
That's what I wanted to know. Probably he's still carrying some injury, because now I don't know. We haven't had a report from Pirates that he's got an injury. But remember that he has been sitting on the timeline, on the sidelines. So I think it's one of those. Mhango, you can see him from a distance that he's one of the players that are quick to be triggered mentally, and they lose it. You can see the way he plays. He's got so much hunger, and I think he's one of the players that will still be of use to Orlando Pirates.
I've played against him most of the time. He's a player that okay, as you say, short temper. You can easily trigger him as a defender. You can easily take him out of the game. But you have a player that scored 14 goals last season. Joint top scorer with Peter. And coming to the season with, not his own doing, he got injured and he need to, step by step come into the team. But I think he feel like, he could have been doing more in terms of scoring wise. And scoring that goal with the celebration and kicking the ball away, I just feel like, maybe he's just saying that, no, I could have scored for a very long time. But nevertheless, the team won. That's the most important thing.
Your players are different.
Yeah.
And as a coach, you need to get into the psyche of each and every player. There are players that need a different kind of management. You cannot use the same
approach.
Over and above, he is a proven goal scorer. So you cannot get him to try and get back to defend if he's half fit, but he can score for you the goals. You get the players around him to do that work for him, and then he can get you the result. So it's all about how you manage the players. You will never get players 100% fit. It's not there in football. You get on the field, you're not feeling like you're there. As the game picks up, you kick in, and the game is on.
Okay, that's a good point, that you're not always going to be 100% fit, and I think people take that for granted sometimes. Shabalala, just to think that, okay, every time the players are taken to the field, they're in 100% condition, but it's a mixed bag for most coaches. You've got players dealing with all sorts of ailments, but they need to put those to one side and perform.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that football wants you to be on the top of your game, at the top of your game, whether you've got problems at home or in the streets or wherever.
Sure.
But then again, some players show it there. The emotions are part of the game. You remember, the players have got things. I mean, I was looking at Van Heerden scoring against Amazulu. Remember, he didn't celebrate that goal because it's got a sentimental value for that team.
They're human beings at the end of the day,
but then again, if you can look at, let's just take it and bring it to the actual Nedbank Cup now. Without the smaller teams from the ABC and the SAFA, it has become more compact. But I'm disappointed that only 3 or 4 teams from the lower league has actually caused what we could call upsets. I think I was expecting the standard to be at least evenly matched. So it seems like there's a big gap between the Clear Africa and the PSL.
But it seems there's also a bit of form that comes into consideration when you think about the teams that are doing well in the lower division up against the bigger teams. I mean, Richard Bay, for example, that sometimes if you are on a good flow, it's just timing.
The momentum carry you to a cup game, your next game. Richards Bay, second on the log, top of it, they have 20 points. I think they're doing very well. Well organized team against Kaizer Chiefs. As you said earlier, it was a Kaizer Chiefs team that were short with one man. They played 10 against 11. They still came back and get the goal from Castro. But you can see the quality of Siabonga, the winning goal from Richards Bay. You can see they have that belief. The confidence was going there. And they won the game. Take nothing away from them. The other teams, the one the TS Galaxy and Sporting, it went to penalty, and it's a lot. Anything can happen that one. So sometimes the quality is there in the PSL, definitely. But the NFD clubs, they're trying to catch up because most of the players that play in the PSL, formerly players in the PSL, they play in NFD.
Sure.
Take example like Sakola, the one for Cosmos. Yes. He's the top scorer. He have 8 goals. And he's looking to come back to the PSL.
Right.
So you need to prove yourself. But this opportunity in the Nedbank for you to prove yourself. Richards Bay did that, and they talk of the town now, beating Kaizer Chiefs.
Well, there we go. We're going to reflect on some more teams after we take a short little break, and that will see us return and put the spotlight on Mamelodi Sundowns. They're in action against Stellenbosch. We'll pick that one apart as Monday Night Football continues after this. Welcome back. It's Monday Night Football, Lagu Soweto TV, as we now focus on Masandawana and them securing a place in the next round at the expense of Stellenbosch. In the end, it wasn't a much shuffled pack. There were some new faces in the starting 11 for Mamelodi Sundowns, but looking at that, it also goes to show just in terms of quality and resources and who they can bring in to, affect a game. They started with the likes of Shalulile. Goss got a start in goal. What did you make of that starting 11? Worthy enough for cup competition and, of course, any league game?
I mean, you play for Sundowns.
For sure.
You play for Sundowns. Whoever that they have within that squad, the whole squad, barring the match fitness, whoever that they have to call up on the day, I mean, he has to come in and deliver the goods. We saw it. Goss a bit rusty, but his quality does not go away. I mean, he's a top keeper. I mean, if you look at the keepers that they have at Sundowns, it's a headache for the coaches. Yeah. I mean, if you have to pick one best keeper, who would you go for? I mean, they're spoiled for choice. Again, it brings us to the Sundowns signing and everything else that we've been talking about. But if you can look at how they played, you could see that they really wanted to finish the match the soonest, and because they don't need to play things like extra time in a cup game and all of that. They just want to wrap up the proceedings. But then who wouldn't want to boast the likes of Shalulile, Nwasmende, Bambiza Kanjalo? The man, I mean, he's there. I mean, I even like Mangoba's quote when he said he has repaid Sundowns with all what he has done. He makes mistakes, but with the little mistakes that he makes, you can always forgive him based on what he gives you in return. But they're spoiled for choice at Sundowns. They've got everyone that they need there.
Signing of the season, Shalulile?
Definitely. Definitely.
He says halfway.
No, okay, this isn't still, you haven't finished yet. But one thing about Peter, which people didn't know about him. You know, when they do the bib test, you know, normally when you start the preseason,
Yeah.
there's a bib test you do.
Sure.
Peter, from Highlands Park to Sundowns, he's #1. He finished 17. And that one is the highest, you know, the bib test. You know, the bib test you do
It's like
normally.
shuttle runs almost, yeah?
The one you get your fitness. You know,
Yes.
immediately when you come back, you start preseason. Peter, he can't stop running. You know, one thing about him, he chased lost cause. You know, he defending wise, attacking wise, he do everything. Very humble guy. On the pitch, he does his job. If you want to judge a player on his performance, it's Peter.
I mean, Tim, he doesn't strike me as the one who's looking for the good time after the game. You know, he strikes me as a player who's kind of focused and, most importantly, professional about his job and knows that, listen, a fit Peter, a clear-minded Peter is a useful Peter to Mamelodi Sundowns.
Peter is working. He's focused on the job.
Right.
One thing, he has got the eye for goal. Take nothing away from Peter. He will harass the defenders, but his positions are always in the goal area. Once he gets that chance, he's not looking to change his style of play to be the new Sandawana player. No, he doesn't want the shoe and shine. No, he's looking for that chance and put it behind the back. He's gone. For me, he has not changed anything. The way they signed him, the way they appreciated him, he has maintained that, and he has to continue doing that.
No, for sure.
Yeah, but looking at his transition coming from Highlands Park and the Peter that we see now at Sundowns, they know how to spot him. Whether he does a decoy run, the third man running, he's lethal with or without the ball, because he finds himself knowing how to create space. Whether he's playing, getting the passes from Jali, from Mshishizwani, you know, he's that player that is at peace with what he's doing. I mean, look at him. He's such a formal boy. Just to add to what you're saying, he's a formal boy. Even if when he talks, his humility just, you know what, it takes over, because he doesn't say, I'm the flavor of the month, I'm here, I'm Peter Shalulile. No, but one thing that I liked when he said it, he said, you haven't seen the best of me yet. I mean, look at him. He's the best player in the league right now, playing for Sundowns, of which he was not this Peter that we saw at Highlands Park. But now he's a different new player. It depends again. Quality means quality there.
Yeah, you know, you have a lot of quality, you know, beside him in terms of Zoani, you know, Sereno. There's a lot of players. So when you're a quality player, it normally shows, you know. And one good thing about him, he's not selfish. You know, he do pass, he do assist too. He scored the goals, but sometimes he give the players too to score, which is a good thing. And there's a unity in that front line, you know, in terms of Erasmus, Zoani, and Peter. You know, anyone can score. We said it last week. There's a lot of goals in that front line, and Peter is one person that will deliver for you. And most especially in the Champions League, because no, they don't know much about him. With his speed, he can easily play. You know, when you have Kekana playing from deep, there's that diagonal ball you can give to Peter, and his first touch is very good. He can miss chances for you, but definitely going to score lots.
Peter has not changed. He's doing exactly what he was doing at Highlands Park. The difference is simple. The surrounding.
The supply.
The surrounding, he has got the quality supply to him, and it makes his work easy. He doesn't, Highlands Park, he could drip to try and fight for the ball to get it here. Now he just concentrates on making the runs behind the defenders, get himself in the right positions, and just finish. He is one boy who is very determined to put the ball behind the net. Those are the likes of Mbesuma when he was at Kaizer Chiefs. You get a player who just believes he just wants to put the ball behind the net. Once he puts one, he wants another one, another one. That's Peter.
And I mean, you saw in that game that they left it very late to bring him off. You know, he had the injuries and he came back almost as if his body gave him that break that he needs, because there is going to be so much football in the weeks to come.
Yeah, before, the Swallows game, you know, they missed him a lot, you know, because that game, you know, Sundowns needed to win that game, but he ended draw. But you can see the Peter absent there. Erasmus, they did very well with the goal he scored, but you see Peter in that Sundowns team, you can see a full package. You know, you have a full package in terms of the speed, the skills, because Sundowns, they always create chances. You just need the player that can run to that space, that half space. Because if you see the winning goal he scored, I mean, out of nothing, you know, out of nothing, and don't take away from this player, what's his name from Black Leopard. Kapinga.
Right.
The assist. Kapinga is one player that, you know, he came slowly, but you can see now he's part of the pass there that Sundowns need. And the assist from Kapinga was very good. And Peter did the rest, putting the far corner there. And there's nothing Steve can do there in terms of the keeper there, Serge. He cannot do anything because it was a far corner, bottom corner there.
If you're talking about Kapinga, it takes us back to what we've been saying, that Sundowns has got that policy that there's no walking into the team.
Right.
You have to sit and observe how things are done.
Right.
How a Sundowns player behaves on and off the field.
Yeah.
You sit at the stand. Sometimes you watch them from your own home.
Yeah.
And then you come back to class the next day to say, what did you see?
Right.
And then you give your own version of what. I think they still keep that bits or notebook to say this is how a Sundowns player is taken into the team.
Right.
We are not desperate as Sundowns. You come here, you observe, you study, you learn, you sit there and have yourself, ready to say the day I walk in, I run into the team, this is what I'm going to do.
Right.
Unlike teams that would just take you from one team last week, today you're playing here.
And then you don't perform, and then suddenly it's against you now that you didn't perform.
That
Meanwhile,
could be
you
the
weren't
end
given
of
the
exactly.
opportunity.
But look at Sundowns. How long did they take to play George? How long did they take to play the very same Kapinga? When he left Leopards, he was on fire. But Sundowns said, hang on, sit up at the stands.
Yeah, learn a couple of things. Let's talk about the goalkeeping department, where the Jody February wants to go out on loan. There's an embarrassment of riches. That got me into trouble once with Coach Pizzo. That term. Embarrassment of riches at Mamelodi Sundowns. Good for his development, surely, to go somewhere where they need a keeper.
I mean, as a goalkeeper, you need to play. You can see, if you don't play a lot of games, there's that rustiness. You have African #1, Denis Onyango. You have Kennedy Nations Cup, winner, Meda there. You have Ray Peterson. Gross is there. He won with Vets. So, I mean, as a goalkeeper, you want to play, and as a 24 years old, come to February, I think he needs game time now because, I mean, this way you need to show yourself. He was at KP Moya before, from Ajax to KP Moya. I think for now, he needs to go a team. Okay, you can't really say he must play in the NFD team because he needs to play in the top because he's a very good goalkeeper.
But where does he go? Where do they need a keeper like him?
There's teams, for me, you can actually choose for him, but he knows where he wants to play. But you see, like in terms of TTM, he can play there easily. He can play there easily. I think there's a good competition there with Nairobi.
Right.
You go to a team like Baroka, he can compete. He can compete there. I think there's a way Sundowns can give him out for a loan for him to compete because it's going to benefit Sundowns.
But of course, there are loans that will not happen. He will not do a horizontal move loan.
Being?
Yeah.
He will not go to Chiefs, Pirates. He will never go there, even if there's a gap for him.
For sure. I feel those teams are a bit more settled, That's why it's tricky to find where do you put a keeper
and
in.
those teams, they have national team goalkeepers,
Exactly.
number one.
Yeah.
So you can't see.
When you normally talk about game time, it's a mixed feeling for me. I'm looking at Sundowns, the kind of training they have, the kind of friendly they have. You can't get those competitive sessions in teams like Baroka.
No.
TTM.
As a goalkeeper,
I'm saying for myself,
as a goalkeeper,
you're having Peter playing against you on training week in, week out. He's going to put 100 behind you. So the more you get better against Peter, you're going to become one of the best goalkeepers.
The tense you feel when you play a friendly game is not the same when you play official game.
Right.
It's different atmosphere. Your tense is different. A friendly game, you relax. You made a mistake, it's fine. You can recover from there. But when you play official game, it's 3 points at stake. It's a different atmosphere. So you can train as much as you can, but that match fitness in terms of proper game is a different one.
I mean, it's a surprising one. Do you think the player pushed for that one? It's made to sound like he's the one who wanted out. And the coaches, I'm wondering if, they would prefer to have him around because there are two arguments being made here. One is that game time is gold. You need to be playing real competitive matches. The other side of the coin, according to Tim, is that, I'm training with the best players, surely through that I'll become a better player.
It works on both ways. But then if you can see, he's still young, he's still eager to go, like he's saying that he wants to play, but he signed knowing very well that at Sundowns, there's Onyango #1.
Yeah.
Everyone else that goes into that position, he's willing to sacrifice himself. It takes us way back to the money versus game time issue.
Yes.
But if he wants to go on loan, I'm sure definitely if he's initiating it in a right way, engage management and speak to them, I'm sure they can work something out, because Sundowns is not one of those teams that will refuse to put a player out on loan because they have their own agenda. No, I've seen many players going out on loan from Sundowns, and you know, even with that policy that they had before, that you cannot play against us if we are the one paying your salary, all of those things. But apart from that, the Sundowns has always been there to play open cards. Players have gone out on loan. I think the young man wants to play. His hands are itching. I mean, here's another one here who's itching for clean sheets. But apart from that, I think if there's a gap where they can loan him out, I think they can. I mean, if Pirates can loan a Tunsane to a young keeper that Tunsane to Pondo Chiefs, why not Sundowns do the same?
Okay, well, let's look quickly at the two games that we have midweek. Bloem Celtic in action against SuperSport United, and Orlando Pirates in action against Cape Town City. Your predictions, Tim, let's start. I don't want the whole thing. I'm going very quickly.
I'm going to give it to Celtic.
Celtic for that one against SuperSport and Cape Town City, Orlando Pirates?
Cape Town City.
Okay.
Yeah, with the whispering in the corridor in Bloemfontein, I think it's going to be a big one for Maduka. And I see this one, SuperSport, we take this one.
Okay, and then the Pirates City?
The Pirates City, with Pirate form and City form, I think it's going to be a draw.
A draw.
There's a lot happening between those two teams. Whenever they meet, it's a big match. Yeah. I think Pirates will take this one. They're looking for some redemption going up the top. I mean, they've slipped points when they were not supposed to. They let go of points. But if you can look at the Celtic one, I think Celtic will have to redeem themselves as well and try to bring back that spirit and win that one.
Okay, some quick fire predictions there for you for the midweek games as we wrap up our wrap-up of what's been happening in the Nedbank Cup. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for as far as things are concerned with today's episode. Do join us in a week's time. We are well and alive on YouTube. You can catch us on there too. From myself, Kamzambata, and everyone behind the scenes who made this possible. Until next time, take care.